but my hands still get super, super dry in the winter because I wash them so much. God, they are rough looking. I hope y'all didn't see that. Sure, why not? There you go. They are rough looking. I got cuts everywhere. I don't know what I did. Why did I do that? But hello, and welcome to Losing My Knit, episode 12. I'm Jeff, that's Jeff with a G. I live in Boston with my husband Tim and our Bernedoodle Barnaby. I'm mostly a knitter, sometimes a crocheter. I've actually sewn things. Yeah, actually this episode you'll see something that I've sewn, but definitely don't consider myself a sewist. You can find me on Instagram at losing.my.knit, on Ravelry and Blue Sky at losingmyknit. Without periods, or scan any of these QR codes that should pop up. Welcome if you just stumbled across my channel, brace yourself for the chaos, and welcome back if you're here for more. It was a busy month in November, like everybody. Had a ton of things to do, some unexpected, some 100% planned. And the most exciting thing was I celebrated a year of podcasting. I dropped my very first episode, I hesitantly hit publish on my very first episode of Losing My Knit, my intro episode on November 22nd. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a year, looking back on the year, things that I've learned. You can find it on my channel. I talked about 10 things that I learned. Honestly, the thing I was most impressed with is, I'll find the timestamp for it in that video, but I talked a lot about how a lot of the things that I wanted to learn are things I wanted to learn about the back end of YouTube. So how to post videos, how to create content, how to edit videos. And the thing I'm most impressed with was about halfway through the video, or 2/3 of the way through the video, I talked about how I learned color correcting. And I pointed at the camera and it went to non-corrected, and I talked for a minute and then I pointed back and then it went to color corrected. Just to sort of show some of the things that I've been learning from the tech side on the back end. So I was impressed with myself. I hope you enjoyed it if you watched it. If not, you should go check it out. I thought it was a lot of fun to do. I have a couple of things to chat about, and then I'll jump right into everything. I'm doing Vlogmas. Basically what you're going to do is what you'll get are 3 extra episodes. 2 to 3. I already know pretty much, I know what I'm going to do. We'll say that. I am planning to take this corner of the room, this third of the room. Yeah, roughly third of the room. And I'm going to reorganize it. I'm going to take all of the yarn out of my closet. You all will see it as a mess, not the current mess, because there's a couple of things that don't belong over there. They need to go over here and then go into the bottom of the closet. So you'll see it, and you might see some of the artwork that I'm going to put up eventually. So that'll be next weekend's episode and maybe the third weekend of December's episode. It'll depend. I'm thinking I'll probably split that into 2, because I know I have some yarn that's not in my stash catalog, and I want to get it in there so that I can just know. I know it's there. I've seen it recently looking for something else. And then when I went to go check something about it on my list, it wasn't there. I was like, oh, that's not good. I got to figure that out. And I'll probably do another cull of things to either donate or maybe destash. And so you'll see that organization, and then you'll see me go through it all, reorganize it, get it into my closet. And then hopefully I can buy a new shelf for that corner and get a nice chair for a sitting reading area. So that'll be 1 or 2 episodes. If it only takes 1, I will wing episode 3. Episode 4, the last Saturday in December, will actually be looking back on everything that I knit in 2025. If you've paid attention, the bulk of it is right here, in that shawl. And then there's a couple of things I've already given out that I'll pull up photos, but that's why that stack keeps growing, because I don't want to put them away until I show them off. Well, that's an old one. But anyway, that'll be what I do. And then I'll look forward to 2026, my 2026 vibes. I'll look at what I did, what I said I was going to do in 2025. Did I do it? Some of it. And then I'll look at 2026, what my plans are. But speaking of 2026 plans, I am going to co-host a make-along. Sara from Little Dynamite Knits reached out to me a couple months ago and was like, hey, would you be interested in co-hosting this? I have this idea and I want to do it. And I thought about it. At first I was like, who am I to host a make along? Like, I barely participate in them. And then I was like, you know what? Actually, yes, I think I will. So she already had the name. It's called the More to Love Make Along. And basically what it is we are going to encourage people to make garments, crochet, sew, knit. Can you macrame garments? Anyway, make garments from size inclusive designers. So that's the More to Love. We both are larger sized. I am tall, I am large. So I generally make the last or the penultimate size. I'm obsessed with the word penultimate recently. I've always loved that word, but like it's a great word and it just sounds so much fancier than next to last. So that is neither here nor there. So we're going to host this make along. Hopefully I will have the graphic and I will pop it up here. We are going to, before I tell you information, one of the reasons that really like solidified me, I already told Sarah I would do it, but one of the things that really made me go, oh, we are absolutely doing this and we're going to like put into it. I got to meet Sara for the first time in person at the Fiber Festival of New England in early November. Absolutely lovely. We spent most of the morning wandering around through all of the vendors, and then we got to eat lunch with Kevin and Ray from the Needles at the Ready. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. I don't know. I mean, I could just say Kevin and Ray, and you know, that was all Sarah's doing. I am outgoing, and for work, I will turn on my extrovertedness, but I'm an introverted extrovert. So I would not reach out and be like, hey, y'all want to get lunch? But Sarah was like, I'm eating lunch with them. Do you want to go? And I was like, sure, why not? They're absolutely lovely, exactly as they appear in person. I think I talked about this in the last episode, but everyone I've met so far is significantly shorter than I think they are. And I think it's because I watch everybody on a TV and it's up here, so they're like looking down on me. And then I forget how tall I am. And so I meet everybody and it's like a reverse. But they were absolutely lovely. Loved getting the chance to chat with them and just hang out. And we talked to them about this make along for advice. But how did I get on that? Oh, I got to meet Sara in person. So one of the things Sara and I were discussing was while we were in person was how we were going to approach the make along. And while we were at the Fiber Festival, there was a booth that was doing a sweaters quantity giveaway. And to give them full credit, they were upfront about how many skeins they were going to give away as a sweaters quantity. And I was like, well, that's not a sweaters quantity for me. And then I was curious. I was like, who is it a sweaters quantity for? So I went and looked it up. They were giving away to one winner either 5 skeins of worsted or 4 skeins of fingering. The worsted was 220 yards, so kind of standard. And I was like, okay, what's a super popular free pattern? The Flax worsted by Tin Can Knits. I calculated out that 1,100 yards and I went and looked. It will make a size medium adult if you want a regular length. Cropped, I think it'll go to an extra large. So a size medium. The fingering will get you a size large, and it was 5 skeins of fingering, 5 skeins of worsted, 4 skeins of fingering. Will get you a size large, regular length. So cropped, you can get a little bit of a bigger size. And I just was like, seriously? I was not judging them. I understand yarn is expensive. Like, I don't remember how much each of the skeins were, but like $30. That's $150. Like, that's a lot in stock for a small independent dyer. But I was like, don't call it a sweaters quantity. Like, how many people can wear, an extra small to a medium? You're just basically saying the other half of the population doesn't count. The other 2/3 doesn't count. Like, just call it, I'm giving away 5 skeins of worsted yarn or 4 skeins of fingering. Your choice. Make what you want with it. Like, don't call it a sweaters quantity. So at that point, I was like, I am all in on this make along. So Sara and I have been planning it. She has made this wonderful graphic that has probably been up here as I've rambled on. The plan right now is that we will kick off in January, so January 3rd. It will go through March 28th. And the reason those random dates are because I was like, ooh, we should do something around Valentine's Day. More to love, Valentine's Day, love, okay. So the exact halfway point is Valentine's Day weekend. It's a 12-week make long. It's very loose. If you're already making something, have at it. The only thing that we're saying is that it needs to be size inclusive, and we are saying a range of 30 to 60 inches bust measurement is where to start. It can be bigger. If you are a self-drafter, you make all of your patterns yourself, you are size inclusive. You are making them for you. I think Sarah was like, that's the dream, to make the one product that fits you the way you want it and need it to fit. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We will be hosting it on Ravelry in a Ravelry group. I will have that linked somewhere. I'll have it linked below. We will also have some on Instagram. We know not everyone can access Ravelry. And so we'll have a hashtag that'll be on the graphic, hopefully. This is a lot on Sarah. I'm just here for the fun. But no, so we'll be doing that. And then I think if for some reason Ravelry or Instagram don't work, leave a comment below or message me or Sarah somehow. We can figure out a way to get you in as an entry. There are going to be prizes. We're reaching out to some people for prizes. We'll probably chip in a little bit for some of the prizes as well. But yeah, it felt really important that as Sarah has begun exploring garment knitting over the last couple of years, last year or so, 12 to 18 months, and as I've started to realize I do enjoy garment making, but I have to make quite a few modifications even if they are size inclusive. So it'll be fun. So I hope you'll join us. We're excited. The prizes, if we get the ones that we're hoping to get, will be amazing, and I'll have more information about those in the final video of December. We are also going to probably try and do a cast-on Zoom, a midway Zoom, and a ending Zoom. So keep an ear out, keep an eye out for that. But yeah, so that's the big thing we're excited. I'm excited about. So what I'm wearing a black t-shirt. I had a shawl on. I had can you see it? You can just see it here. I had my Paris Toujours shawl on, but I immediately got hot. It has gotten cold here, so it's been cold. I will get cold. I'll probably get this wrap out. That's my favorite wrap to wear at my desk. That is the Skylar shawl wrap by Rastus Sue. Or Shu. I always forget how to pronounce his name. But that's by Rastus. It's just my favorite. It's super soft. It's extra big, and I can kind of have it over my arms while I type. But this morning, it's very warm here. We still haven't turned the heat on fully in the house yet. We're kind of riding that edge of, are we too cold or are we not? So I got hot this morning. I took it off, so I'm wearing a black t-shirt. That was a weird segue. The reason I'm talking about the t-shirt, in addition to the Paris Toujours, not in addition, instead of that, I was going to wear my finished object. I decided not to wear my finished object because it will not be a finished object for long. It's going to go back into the works in progress. My finished object is the Elkhorn sweater by Chase Harpole. It was a test knit I was working on. I have finished it. There were some issues with my gauge. I talked about them last episode. There were some issues with the way edits to the pattern were made that kind of just gave me a sour taste during the testing process. But, it happens. Different learning styles, different working styles. It happens. Pattern is great. I think it is relatively easy to follow. There's a couple of word choices that just kind of confused me. Like, instead of saying do X on both sides of the marker, it's do X on either side of the marker. And I'm like, doesn't either mean a choice? So I got there in the end. It was originally designed in Brooklyn Tweed Quarry, which is obviously Brooklyn Tweed is no longer making yarn. So for my quantity, I would have needed to buy, actually, I don't have the number, but it would have been about $200. I decided to make it in Barocco Wizard, and it was $159 for the number of skeins that I needed. I will say, Barocco Wizard was a mistake. It is a beautiful yarn. It is a chainette blown in yarn. It is so soft and it is so lightweight, which is why I was excited about making it. But we have a problem. So this is the finished sweater. I love the stripes. Like, I knew they were going to be different sizes. I knew the sleeves weren't going to match. But the problem is the yarn is so stretchy that it has settled. And it has settled to the point that if you see that white stitch marker, I need to bring up the hem that much. Part of it is just the weight of the garment. So, you know, the bigger the size, the more weight, it will pull it down. Most of it is just the yarn itself because of how stretchy it is. I wore this probably for a total of 2 hours around the house, and it just kept getting longer and longer. In addition to that marker on the body, there's this marker on the sleeves. So the sleeves fit right where they were when I mathed out, and Chase also mathed it out. I will say the other thing is that I went down 4 sleeve sizes to get gauge, or not to get gauge, to get the fit that I wanted. The sleeves can be done independently of the body size. So the body is a 16, the sleeves are an 11. And I had to go down that much because I did not want waves of fabric here. It does fit better. It is more streamlined, but as I've worn it, the sleeves have grown out. So there's a chance I may just frog this entire sweater. I don't think I will because I love how soft it is, but like, I also don't think I can just end the sleeve here. Like pull back, do some one row of decreases and then go into the thing. I think I'm gonna have to go back to like here and do more rapid decreases. I don't know. Well, we'll see. So basically this was a finished object. It is so soft. I love the yarn, but it has grown so much already that I feel like it will continue to grow. So I have to make that decision. I did weave in the ends. I should have left ends only partially woven in at the base, at the hem and the sleeves, but I didn't. So this is a December project, maybe a February project when I do fix it February, because I got some other stuff I need to fix, but I am sad. Again, this time it had nothing to do with the test knit or the designer. This time it was all the yarn. My swatch was never going to show me how much it was going to drape, how much the drape was going to change, how much it was going to fall. But now I know. Don't use chain up for sweaters, or go down quite a few sizes and maybe it'll grow. It hasn't grown too much this way width. Most of it's been in length. So boo, but also I'm glad I finished it and it was fun, and I hope it does really well when he releases it, because it was such a quick knit on such a big gauge. All right. My second finished object of the month. I have 2. If you saw earlier in the month, I released a video about bags. I finished my Babylon leather DIY kit, the large sack. I finished that, and I used that. There's an affiliate link below. Ha, I remembered. What is wrong with me? I finished that, and the reason I said yes to that in the first place was so that I could finish this. So if you remember way back to like early March, February, March, April-ish, I used some linen yarn that we bought in Scandinavia, in Visby, on the island of Gotland in Sweden, to make this bag. And then I was like, how do I finish it? I bought some ombre fabric and I sewed it up, and I sewed on the handles. As of right now, I have given up on doing the final the final linen handle I was going to do, but I still might try and do it. I think I want to try double knitting it instead of whatever I was doing before, but I finished it. This was self-drafted. The numbers were based on a project bag, my favorite project bag, that's just a box bottom bag. But yeah, I'm excited. It's done. I haven't used it as much. It has a project in it that I abandoned. Actually, I think I talked about it last time. So I abandoned the Intarsia hat, the Quadrants hat. My brain just could not handle it. So that is not a work in progress. That is not it is I have put that on hold. I will probably use that yarn or I have pulled it out completely. I will probably use the yarn for something else. But yeah, that's my bag. If you're interested in learning more about the trials and tribulations of Jeff learning how to sew by hand and make a box bag, go watch that other video because it was rough. You could see from the beginning of the day where I was like, oh, this is fun, I'm doing this. And then all of a sudden, 8 hours later, pitch black outside the window. I've got a cardigan on and I just look so defeated. It was there. I did it, but I did do it. I got it done. And I'm excited about this. Now I just need to start using it. Those are my 2 finished objects. My works in progress. I have 3 of them. I will start with the one that I have done absolutely no work on. And I don't know why, or I do know why. So it's the Pokemon Ultra Ball hat that I made. This is self-drafted. It's based off of the numbers from the Tin Can Knits Mountain Mist hat. It's from my friend Peter. I've already made him one, which is part of the reason I just haven't finished. And he's been wearing it. Like, he came over and we were playing cards. We were playing Magic the Gathering. We're big nerds. We were playing Magic downstairs, and he got cold, so he put it on, and I was like, yay! But I also needed to measure that hat, and I had measured it the weekend before because I wanted to make sure I went up a needle size because I wanted to have a little bit more room. So I just needed to measure length and see sort of what had changed by going up the needle size. And I did that, and I have pictures on my phone. I think all I have left is to just stay completely in yellow and then finish the crown. And then so in the end, this will be done next month. I will get it done. My second work in progress. So the title of this video was Frogging Fiasco. So as I learned with the Elkhorn, my gauge has actually relaxed significantly, my knitting gauge, over the last couple of months. I will talk about that with the final work in progress. But apparently my crochet gauge has also relaxed significantly over the last couple of months. So I started this. This is my 11th triangle and my granny triangle blanket that I'm working on. That's a little, yeah, you can see the colors. That's pretty good. These are actually supposed to look like blood splotches this time. It is from the Woolly Dragons 2022 Literary Adventures Yarn Club. It is based on this cover, Watchmen, by Dave Gibbons and Alan Moore. So she nailed it. She did it. So this is actually supposed to be blood splotched. But last week I did this, got all the way to 25. So it's 25 of the triple double things. I don't know what they're called. Triple double crochets. These little bunches right here, whatever this is called. 3 double crochets together in the granny square. Whatever this is. Wait, we'll do a red one. Whatever this is called. Anyway, so it's 25 of those. I got to the row I was doing 24 on. All the way down the one side, hit 24. I was like, oh, cool, only 1 row left. Did not look at how much yarn I had left. I made it to about here. So I still needed to do this much of this side and then go all the way around again. So that's when I found out my gauge had loosened. So I ripped that out and started over. I finished this this morning because I just put it off. So I finished it. It looks great. It goes super, super quick, so I wasn't too worried about it. So I finished that one, and then I immediately started the final colorway. So this is the final colorway of the final of the Woolly Dragons 2022 Literary Yarn Adventures Club. It is based off of, where are we? Before We Were Yours, historical fiction. Oh, this light. There we go. So that's the ball. I'll finish this tomorrow maybe. I know it's not her. She actually shared the one from yesterday, the blood red one. This just looks like dried blood. It's because there's some parts that go brown. Like, it just looks like a white rag that like was used to soak up blood or something. Yeah, so I know that was not her intention, and it says more about me than it does her as the dyer. But yeah, as I'm crocheting it, it looks like dried blood. The other thing that I'm really enjoying, it doesn't show as much up here because I think the lights are yellow. Anytime I get to like this spot, the spot where it's like pure white, I'm like, ooh, I like crocheting with pure white yarn. So It's moving along. Once I finish these two, I will lay the 12 out and see how many more I want to do. I have, I think, 4 or 5 DK skeins over here that are just random ones that I've bought over the last few years that I will use to augment the colors if I need to make it bigger, or if I'm like, oh, those colors really can't go together. So I will probably need to add 1 or 2 of those. So those, I believe, so those are all of, oh no, they're not. I was going to forget the biggest one. So as I said, it was a month of frogging. So unless you follow me on Instagram, you have not seen this work in progress yet. I have finally cast on the finest kind. I may have been swatching for it when I recorded last. This was my swatch. Beautiful, actually it's this way, beautiful, beautiful textured pattern, moss stitch all over. If I talked about it last time, what I talked about is that my gauge knitting has loosened so much. I had the same issue with this here, was a test knit, the gray one. I went down 4 needle sizes and I still can't get gauge. So at that point I was like, I have to do math. I can't go down more. I went from the recommended 8 to a 4 US sizes. And so that meant my ribbing was going to be on a 2.5 US. And I was like, I can't go down anymore. I like this fabric where I am. So I'm just going to make it. So I did have to do some math. Thankfully the math worked out where instead of making Tim the size 5, I'm making him the size actually the math did not work out right away. So I did it and I was like, oh, this is pretty close to gauge. Let me just cast it on. I cast on the 5. I did, did the ribbing and then did about 3 to 4 inches of the moss texture. I then was like, I'm going to have Tim try it on. I want him to tell me if it's too much positive ease. I'm always worried it's going to be too small, but he likes to wear his sweaters and sweatshirts a little bit closer fitting. And I'm glad I had him try it on. He tried it on. I then realized my gauge had relaxed a little bit more. And so it was too big. We checked the math. I then realized that, but the gauge that I was getting, which is closer to, I want to say 19 stitches per inch instead of 16 stitches per inch, or 17, what? It was 1 or 2 stitches off once I was kind of relaxed and got into the swing of it. So I frogged it back. Frogged it all the way back to the cast on, removed X number of stitches, and then kept going. Got him to try it on again. Liked the fit a lot better. I was going in the right direction. Got to the point where I separated for the front and back, had him try it on again, fit great around his stomach, looked like it was going to be okay where the arms were hitting. And then I just kept going. I was like, yeah, this is great. Did the entire back, had him try it on, looked like it was going to be the right length. He's very short torsoed. Had him try it on, looked like it was going to be the right length when it connected. That was great. And then I got the front done and had just gotten up to the left side, or whichever side you knit first when you split for the neck. And I realized I had left the 2.5 on the left side of my needles from when I was knitting in the round. And so I had knit the entire back plus most of the front. And as soon as I realized that, I noticed where the gauge changed. Because instead of knitting in the round, I was knitting flat, and I was knitting 1 row on a 4, 1 row on a 2.5. And you couldn't see it when you were working on it, but then the second I noticed that, I was like, are you kidding me? So then I frogged back. Like, I was like, I noticed it, even though I knew it fit him, I was like, I can't, it was gonna bother me anytime he wore it. Thankfully it knits up so fast. Also, I cast on November 16th, so we're talking 2 weeks of work. This is not a lot. Like, it wasn't 2 complete weeks of work, but we're talking 2 weeks for all this drama. It's December 2nd, so 16 days total. So I pulled back. Then we had Thanksgiving holidays. I had 2.5 days off plus the weekend. And so I was like, okay, I pulled it back, reknit it, got him to try it on, seamed the shoulders, had him try it on again, or no, had him try it on before I seamed the shoulders. I will say the pattern is well written, but there are a couple of things about it that I would absolutely change. because my gauge is off so much, for the sleeve pickup, she recommends X per number of rows, every third stitch, whatever. And I was like, well, I can't go by rows. If I did, it would be like 6 inches longer than it needs to be. Even based on just going by rows and my gauge, the size would be like at least 3 inches. And I was like, you really should put something here that says, if your row count is different. Actually, what really bothered me at first was on the front, she goes, knit for 15 inches. And then all of a sudden, when you got to the split for the back and the front, she's like, knit for X number of rows, but didn't include the inches in the first part. And I'm like, what? But she only didn't do that for the back. Like the front, she has knit for, knit X number of rows. It should be this number of inches. Oh, by the way, if you go based on inches, not rows, your sleeve pickup is going to be off. So that one instruction was missing from the back. And I'm like, it annoys me when people go from inches to rows or rows to inches and like back and forth. But like, she did finally say, oh, I did do this. Make sure you note this because it will be important later. That's my one feedback for that. The other feedback was when I was doing, so there's short row shaping on the back and then short row shaping on the sleeves, on the split, the shoulders. Right side, fine. You're going short row to short row, short row to short row, short row to short row. Left side, not fine. The back, you go short row to short row to kind of give you that wedge shape. The front, I spent 2 hours one night and like I was so frustrated. I had multiple DMs getting ready to go out when I was like, why does this not work to anyone who'd made it before? Because it was like 24 or 26 stitches. And if you did short row to short row, you could only get like 2 short rows in. I think I got confused between as established EST to end, END. I think I got confused there, but basically instead of going back and forth between the short rows, so, you put your short row, go X number, go all the way to the other short row, minus X number of stitches, go back minus X number of stitches, and you do this to give that wedge shape. She's giving you a triangle shape, basically, with the short rows here. Read it wrong, couldn't figure it out, finally clicked, got it to work, and went quickly. I don't know, I've been talking about this for way too long, but basically, long story, very, very long story short, we have a finest kind body. So this is Tim's. His is in that forest green Cascade 220. It is designed in I think this is another one that was discontinued. Harrisfield Designs Sheer, Wellscroft Dorset Aran. It was discontinued, but if you purchased for Tim's size, it would have required 7 skeins. So $105. This is in the Cascade 220. Manufacturer's price, it would have been $80.50. I got it for $50.96. So half the cost of the pattern yarn. But look at that stitch definition. And now I just had to do the sleeves. Like I said, this did not take me long. So hopefully the sleeves will be done in the next week, 2 weeks or so. Maybe week, we'll see. Tim's going out of town next week. I was originally supposed to go to Colorado, but then with all of the travel delays before Thanksgiving, we just were like, let's just not do it. It'll be safer. Also, just crazy travel season in general. So I will have uninterrupted knitting time for a week, and I will hopefully get those sleeves done. Yeah, this is it. I'm excited to get to mine. Mine is a kind of a green with a blue overtone. And yeah, it'll be good. He tried it on, fits great. I was worried he wouldn't like the collar because he doesn't usually like them too high. And I did, like a lot of people, I modified his. I only did half the number of stitches here. It ended up being the same, or stitches, half the number of rows for the hem. It's the same as the collar. I will probably, for mine, I think I do want to do the longer one because I'm taller. And then that'll be a higher chance that it'll pull in a little bit more. So like, if my belly is here, it's not just hanging off like this, it's kind of doing this. Plus I think because I've got the length here, a longer one might look nicer. So yeah, there's his, can I do this? That's his finest kind. Well, It's Finest Kind vest. I'm just my tracker with sleeves lately. Maybe I'll just put some ribbing there and call it a vest. We'll see. But that's his. I'm looking forward to doing mine. I hope it'll take longer, obviously, because it's a significantly bigger size. But yeah, so those are my two whips, three whips, my three whips. So upcoming cast-ons. So my Finest Kind will probably go into the make-along, More to Love make-along. But I would also like, my goal was always going to be in early January to cast on the Fluffissimo by Rastus and this beautiful Cascade Heritage soft teal, I'll call it. I'll look up the actual color and put it on here. I bought this yarn this time last year actually, and I knew I wanted to make that. It's an oversized deep V-neck sweater. I will probably not make it as oversized, so I'll pull it in the body a little bit, but I just feel like this color would look good on me, and I want an exaggerated V that I can wear over like a collared shirt. The other thing that I do want to try and get done, which once I start, it'll go relatively quick, and I'll show you the yarn in one of those next two videos, is my Aunt Laura asked me to make two sweaters for her dogs. They have very short hair and they're bigger dogs, and I was like, sure, why not? And I've got some nice acrylic from the very first sweater I wanted to make years and years and years ago that I've just held on to, and I was like, what am I going to do with this? Perfect yarn to make for her dog sweaters. So hopefully I'll do those. She sent me the measurements this time last year. So those are my two ones. I'll talk more about my 2026 plans at the end of this year. I have three obsessions. So the first two are patterns. The first one is the Glenbrook pull-through scarf by Zandy Peters. I'll put a photo up here. I saw this on Linda at Wool Hobby. She talked about this a couple months ago, I think. And it's a scarf where basically you create a loop and then knit the length of the scarf, and then you can roll the scarf up and it tucks in for storage. So like this nice round cylinder. And then the loop itself, you just wrap the scarf around and you pull the scarf through the loop. Like that saves a lot of bulk if you want to wear your scarf under your jacket. Genius. I probably have yarn for it. I need to just look and see if I do. So that might be a new cast on. The other one is a texture. It's the Celeste It by Youngman Lee. I can't tell if this is size inclusive. I think it is, because the measurement on the Ravelry page is just it laid flat, and if you double it, it looks like it's size inclusive. But either way, I kind of want to buy the pattern just to figure out how to create sort of, so I'll put the photo here. I want to create the little circles, the loops all the way down, because I feel like it would be very breathable, and I get hot. Like, I'm able to wear a lot of my sweaters, but like I would love to wear one that I can like move around in and feel the airflow, and it just, I don't know, there's something about it. The drape of it looks really, really nice, and like, I do think I need to see it on a larger body because the drape might not be as nice, but I'm obsessed with it. He put a demo on Instagram of how he did it, and I was like, ooh, I could probably what's the word? Back engineer it, reverse engineer it. But we'll see. I think it's a $10 pattern, so like, it's definitely worth paying the $10 to get it if I keep thinking about it and it stays in my mind. A lot of these obsessions, they stay there, and if they're still there a month or two from now, I'm like, okay, I buy it, I put it in my queue, and I get ready to go. My third obsession, and the reason I will never join TikTok, is watching things get 3D printed and or put together on Instagram Reels. And I'm just obsessed. Like, my friend Peter, who I made the hat for, and I have joked about getting a 3D printer for years. We even bought him a little mini Kickstarter one, like tiny. I don't think it really ever worked. But like, they've come down in cost so much, like I kind of want one. Cause like just the things you can make are genius. And I'm like, what are some knitting things that you can make? Like, I bet if you did it right and, got the schematics right, you could make knitting needles. Whether you could make interchangeable or circular, not 100% sure. I don't think so. It would just depend on the type of filament, but all these ideas are coming through. And And I'm like, maybe we'll get one. Maybe we'll go halves on one and get one next year. We don't need one. And one of the other reasons I've been thinking about it is I've seen a lot of things recently that show you how to reuse the filament, like make a silicone mold, put it all in there, make little like figurines. Because I was always worried about that extra waste and like so. But unrelated to that, this will transition into acquisitions. So like I said, I went to the Fiber Festival of New England, and one of the vendors had little 3D printed things. And so Seventh Floor Yarn had 3D printed things, and I didn't see them when I did my first pass with Sara. But when I was in the line for getting lunch, a little girl was playing with I'll show you. She's playing with one of these, and it's a little case. It's a 3D printed little case yarn skein that can hold things. I will use it for stitch markers, but she was playing with it, and I asked her mom, I was like, where did she buy that? I want one of those. I saw it on someone's podcast, and I want one of those. She pointed, and I got it. But this is what I was looking for. This is the only thing that I purchased that I did not go there to purchase. So one of the reasons I think I don't go to festivals is, one, I know I'll purchase a lot, but two, I'm going to research every vendor and see what I want to look at and then have a shopping list. And I did that. I didn't purchase some of the things I wanted to look at in person. There was a colorway from Junction Fiber Mill I wanted to look at. Was not impressed in person. There were some mini skeins I was looking at. Passed, found better ones, because I knew I needed X number of mini skeins. But this is the one thing that I had absolutely no intentions of purchasing. But when I saw it, I was like, yep, I want that. And there was another little thing that I got. Seventh Floor Yarn. She said her son 3D prints these. Y'all, look at how cute this is. It's a panda. It has knit stitches, and it moves. Like, how could I not buy this? I should have bought myself one. She had like the axolotls or the axolots. But like, how freaking adorable. And then I'm like, ooh, I can get a 3D printer and make my own. Probably not, but like, it's so cute. It lives downstairs on our mantle with a bunch of other stuff. So that was the one purchase that I had not planned on making. And these are not in any order. They're just as they are on the table in front of me. There's one that I can't find the vendor for. They were there when I went 4 years ago, but I can't remember their name, and they only take cash. So I couldn't even go look at my credit card statement and be like, who was this? And the reason I wanted to go is they make mini pottery. So Tim collects bowls from, when we travel, and I wanted to get him a mini bowl. And it's just this beautiful blue. And I sent it to him, or I got it for him. But then I also got 2 little mini pots that are just kind of like this delicate white ceramic with sponge, the blue on them. Yeah, so I got these. The bowl and one of the pots will live on our mantle with that, I almost called it a penguin, with that panda, with all of the other bowls we have. If I remember, I might grab a photo of all the bowls that he's collected over the years. And then one of these pots will come up here. Maybe it'll go on my shelf over there. But I got those. And I knew I wanted to get those. In addition, so I did buy some yarn. I only bought what I went to buy. And I didn't buy some things. And there were 2 stores where two vendors that I did shift a little bit. The first one that I shifted was I got to meet Michael from Core Fiber, Upland Fiber Co. Core is the line. I got to meet him in person. We've chatted off and on Instagram for a while, and I knew he was going to be there, and I knew I wanted to go. I honestly can't remember what I went for. My reminders list has been deleted, or I would have known who the potter was. It was deleted yesterday, exactly 30 days, and I should have written this down. But I went to go look, I think at the worsted. I was going to do a hat in his worsted, and he had a sample of the Treefolds hat by Jared Flood. I'll put a photo right there. And I was like, that is beautiful. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make that. What did you make it out of? He did it in a different color, but it's in the core fingering 50% American Cormo, 50% American Corriedale. And I just loved this color. Like, it's a beautiful, it's not a deep blue, but it's a rich, it's called Mariner. And I think that is spot on. The other cool thing, I got to meet Kate from the Knitting Posse. That was really fun. Like, I watch them, I see them on TV all the time. And I just came around the corner and I was like, oh, there's Kate and Michael. They also were, they were very petite, both of them. I'm like, y'all are so tiny. I feel like a giant. If I can grab my Instagram story, I'll put it here. Yeah, so, like, again, because I watched like Kate, Laura, and Kim on my TV, and I know they're short. They talk about how short their height. I still expect everyone to be tall. But yeah, it was absolutely lovely. I chatted with Michael for a few minutes. And then I grabbed this, and I will be making that hat. This is one of those ones where I was like, I wanted a cast on right away, but I was like, too many projects. I want to use up. I've got two leftovers from other projects that I think I will turn into hats and that will knit up relatively quickly before I even do this. But like, just squeezing this again now, I'm like, do I want to? Should I do this? We will see, but I also have a shawl quantity from Michael in this that I think is going to be on my plans for next year. Now that it's a year old, I'm like, oh, that's technically old. One old, two new, two old, one new, two old, one new. So that's one of the shops vendors that I got to see. The one that I was most excited to go see is Willow Cottage Yarns. Never heard of them before, but as I was going through the vendor list, I found out that they do Jane Austen yarn. This is my Jane Austen shelf. You can just see my Jane Austen figurine right here. I've got one of the Saint candles. This is a book wallet. That's a Books A Million exclusive Funko Pop. So yeah, there's a lot of Jane Austen on this shelf. There's also Jane Austen fan fiction over there. So love Jane Austen. I've reread... I'm 70% of the way through her 5th novel, Emma, right now, and I will reread Persuasion in the last couple of weeks of the year as the 250th anniversary of her death. I also read one fanfiction adaptation inspiration of each of the novels earlier in the year, just something that I do. I'll read the adaptations and inspirations. I'll read those year over year, constantly move around about them. But the originals I revisit every couple of years, every probably 5 to 10 years. I think the last time I read all of them back to back was 2015. So it's been 10 years. I could do an entire podcast on Jane Austen, and you will hear more about Jane Austen because I collect Jane Austen yarns, inspired yarns. So Willow Cottage Yarns does quite a few literary inspired yarns, but what I was intrigued about is she does yarns from Jane Austen that aren't Pride and Prejudice, that aren't Sense and Sensibility, that aren't Emma. She does it from the 3 lesser adapted, the 3 less popular novels. So that would be Mansfield Park. I think she had a Mansfield Park online, but she didn't have any in person. Northanger Abbey and Persuasion. And so I bought 2 skeins. I wasn't sure if I was going to get 1 or 2. It depended on what she had. So I got 2 skeins of fingering. It's 80-20, so 80% superwash, 20% nylon. And these are 2 of the heroes, the male protagonists from Jane Austen's novels. The blue, which is very fitting, is Captain Wentworth. So he is from Persuasion, who Anne Elliot marries eventually, her long lost love. And then this is Mr. Tilney, Mr. Henry Tilney. It's this rich green that kind of has a lot of, it's tonal. It goes to a very lighter green. And he is the protagonist of Northanger Abbey, who Catherine Morland, I can never remember their last names, who Catherine ultimately marries. But yeah, so I was excited to see some by, some of the lesser known protagonists in yarn. And this will go with all the other ones. I've actually been thinking, I think I talked about how I might do a New England dyers blanket, but y'all, I got enough Jane Austen, I could do a blanket. So maybe I'll do a double knit Jane Austen. And I've got some that are speckled or variegated, where these would be really good on the other side. So I was excited to see these, and I bought both of these. I also went to Dying Wishes Fiber Co. If you recall, I bought these two colors back at the Boston Fiber Festival. They are Tell All Your Friends and Desert Sage. It's her and one of her summer bases, her linen yarn. It is 60% superwash merino wool, 30% Pima cotton, 10% linen. And I was originally going to do the Sagaya shawl. I'll put a photo here. But the more I thought about it, the more I liked the idea of that shawl being done in mini skeins, so you can kind of get the repeat. I think it would be beautiful in solids and two solids. But I think it would look very similar to the one I'm going to do with Michael's other yarn that I cannot remember off the top of my head. So I was like, you know what? At that point, I'd researched all the vendors. There were a couple that had a lot of mini skeins or mini skein sets. I was like, you know what? I will look for a mini skein set, a fade or, you know, a blues or greens. And I will just get a third color of this to go in a different direction. So I can't believe it's not butter. So you'll see like that. The lighting is a little off. I don't want to take these out of the bag because I'm just too lazy. But like, there you go. That kind of shows the colors. So I got these three. I'm debating doing the Earth and Sky Shawl by Stephen West. I'll put a photo up right there. But I might try and find a smaller designer to do a pattern for. But yeah, so I knew that I was going to do, I knew I would go get one of these. I debated on just getting a second one of these, but I thought I knew these three would kind of work well together. So if I do it, I might do this darker teal. The Tell All Your Friends is like where the black is in the pattern, and then the other two is the other solid colors. So that's the one that I bought there. So with that pivot, I did find a mini skein set that I wanted. She did not have it in person. So I placed the order with her. I'll put a picture of it here. It was by 100 Raven Yarns, 100 Ravens yarn. And she has a whole bunch of mini sets on her website. And I was like, oh, maybe I can see some of them in person. Maybe she'll have this one in person. And so I bought that. It's right here. It's called the Oceanus. So I bought that to be the mini skeins of the Sagaya shawl. I'll swap that in so you can see what it looks like again, and then I'll go back to the mini skein set. So I ordered that. It hasn't come in yet. I'm hoping it'll come in soon. I mean, even if it comes in soon, I'm not going to do it right away, but it's been almost a month. Yeah, it's been a month, so hopefully. I did get the confirmation email that she's got it and she's working on it, but I thought she had one in stock. Neither here nor there. It'll get here eventually. So I got that, and then I only bought two things this past weekend: Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday, and one of them was just a skein of Cascade Heritage to go with that mini skein set. I bought this from my local yarn store, which is a 5-minute walk, 7-minute walk, tight knit Roslindale from my house, and this is Lunar Rock. If that sounds familiar, I already have one of these skeins for another project I bought a couple months ago. But yeah, so this I figured would be a good, I'm basically making the same one that Nico made in the pattern, but with different yarns, and mine's a little more blue-green, and then this is kind of that very, very soft light blue gray that'll be the background color. I only have 2 more purchases. The other one I bought, so I don't know why, but I've been obsessed with potentially making a more rustic sweater from a more rustic yarn. I think it would need to be a lighter weight sweater, so a sport or a fingering. And Bartlett Yarns was at the Fiber Festival of New England Fiber Festival of New England. That's one of the biggie. And they sell yarn on cones. I don't have the makeup of what each of the yarns are, but I wanted to go look and feel the yarn, see if I liked it for me, and then potentially if I liked it, I was just gonna commit and buy 2 cones, and then Tim could feel it and see if he liked it, because I feel like I've gotten more like meh about carrying an umbrella, and I feel like a nice sweater, rustic sweater with a little bit of a tighter weave, probably not a Gansey, maybe a Gansey, but like something like that with a little bit tighter weave with a more rustic non-superwash yarn would just be great to throw on to take Barnaby out for a walk, or walking up to the village to get groceries, or to go to knit night, or knit afternoon, those sort of things. And so I wanted to see what their yarn was like. They only had a couple of cones, but the cones were in like reds and greens, and we all know I'm a blue and a green, or a blue-green person. But they did have what they call their swirl base, in the sport weight. They had, are they 20 ounces? I think they're roughly 20 ounces, but they had little tasters, basically. This one was called Peacock Feathers. You can see it goes from lightest to darkest. They're heathered. And this really pretty blues, and then I really like this one, the blue-green one at the end. So yeah, so I bought that. Saved a lot of money. The cone, this was like $16.75. The cones were not super expensive, and I think that's why I really liked the idea of a cone, like buying in a bulk quantity. The other thing I'll say is I almost went down the dyeing rabbit hole, dyeing. I kind of want a sweater out of this, like a sweatshirt out of the linen base. And I was like, how much is it for an undyed base? Y'all, you can get 10 skeins for $95. I would not need 10 skeins. And then I was like, ooh, but I would need to dye it. And I don't know how to do that. So I think I've put myself off from that. Because I can't afford, what is it? I would need, I think, 6 skeins. That's $190. I can't afford that. I can get 10 skeins for half that and then figure out how to dye it, but I'm not going to. I've got enough sweaters quantity to do other things. So then there's also this one. So I will knit this up. I don't think Tim is going to like this. He felt it and he was kind of like, oh, which is funny because I'm the one who usually has the texture issues, the sensitivity, but it'll be interesting to see. So I don't know what I'll make about this. Maybe I can make like a little scarf or something so I can wear it against my skin. Or a hat. I feel like this would be a really nice hat. I mean, tell me I have a palette without telling me I have a palette. It's all blues and greens. Oh wait, I'm sorry. It's all blues and greens. Like, what? You'll see even more. Yeah. You'll see more if you come back for my stash video. But I was excited to try this, and it's a nice little sampler. The only other thing that I purchased, I knew from the festival, I knew I was going to... so when we were on our cruise in October, I got the idea that I could make us new lanyards for our key holders. Key pass? It's called a C Pass on Celebrity. And I was like, oh, well, we cruise Celebrity. Maybe I can do it in a fun Celebrity color. So I bought 2 mini skeins and a 50-gram skein. Their colors are blue and orange. The orange is a little too vibrant, but I think it'll work. And then white is kind of like their complementary color. These two are from Passion Yarns. It is Extreme Blue and Safety Orange. And this is Play at Life. I think this is just an undyed, close to white color. So those will be fun. I'll make those. Maybe I'll get Tim to make them. I've got a cord smith. I can show him how to do it. Be like, here, have at it. Make us lanyards. But yeah, this is the last things that I bought. And those I went looking. I knew I was going to look for them. I was hoping to just get a third mini skein about this color about this size, but this was the only one that I found, and I got to support another vendor. So I did that. All right, there's one more purchase. And that's it for the year. I'm not buying any more. The number of things that I went and looked at people for this past weekend, that I looked at their websites and I had it in my cart, and I was like, no, I will leave it in there. I will think about it. Like, I saved $700. We'll say that, because I didn't buy all of that. I did buy one thing though. So I've been very annoyed. Let me grab this too. So, my shirt. So I saved a lot of money by not shopping this past weekend. But I did buy one thing. Oh wait, no. there's one more purchase. So first off, from the festival, first off, I will say, I thought Kevin and Ray were full of shit. And anyone else who recommended this, but I am eating my words. This is me eating my words. My hands have been very, very dry recently, and I had a really, really dry spot right here. No idea what caused it, but like, it was like rhino skin. I'm like, what is this? Where did this come from? And so when we were at the festival, I remembered Kevin and Ray had recommended one. Other people have recommended it, but I asked them, I was like, wait, what's that salve, that hand salve that you use all the time? And they were like, oh, it's Long Island Livestock Co. It's right there. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I went over and I bought one. There were two flavors, smells, scents. I got the honey and almond. I can't remember what the other one was. It was more floral. But in addition to them being full of shit, I thought the woman was just like putting one on. When she was like, well, there's this one, which is the least, she didn't use the word medicated, but it was like the least, I don't know what word she used. It was like, it's a synonym for medicated, or like, yeah, healing might have been the word. And which is the one, which was this one. There was one that was a little bit more healing, and then there was one that was like pure lanolin, and she's like, oh, this is the most restorative and healing. I was like, well, that smells like sheep. That's too much for me. The middle one, I was like, I don't think so. But then this one, I put a little bit on, and it does take a minute or so to soak in. That's my biggest thing, is I hate when it doesn't soak in. Like when you put lotion on, and then like an hour later, like you feel it on your pants, like, no, thank you. So I put it on. And like, as we were chatting, I put it on, tested it. As we were chatting, it kind of soaked in, and I was like, oh, my hands do feel soft. So I bought it. I was influenced. I do like this a lot. I put it on most days. I put it on that spot. That spot is now gone. But my hands still get super, super dry in the winter because I wash them so much. God, they are rough looking. I hope y'all didn't see that. Sure, why not? There you go. They are rough looking. I got cuts everywhere. I don't know what I did. But I put this on, and it keeps them nice and very moist, and it goes on. I need to try it on my heels. I haven't tried it on my heels yet, but those get dry as well. But yeah, I was influenced. It was good. They were not full of shit. I do recommend it. I've enjoyed it, and I have not used that much. A little tiny bit goes, you can kind of see a little tiny bit, like we're talking one little dollop will do this whole hand, and like halfway up my arm, and then same thing on the other side. So almost forgot that. Okay, so now back to the actual last thing that I purchased, not from the festival. This was part of the whole post-Thanksgiving weekend sale. It is from Thread and Maple. I did not get one of those fancy ass binders. That will be a present from someone to me someday when I can't think of an idea. But I did buy a binder page. So I store my needles in the Delique. No idea what it's called, but I store them in here. I have basically two full sets of Chalgu. I have a 4-inch and a 5-inch. I originally got the 5-inch quite a few years ago, maybe 2020, 2021. And I love them, and they're great, but I prefer the 4-inch when I'm doing a lot of things. And so I've just slowly accumulated the 4 inches. So basically, for Christmas, a friend is getting me the last 4 of the 4 inches that I don't have. So I will have 2 full sets of Chalgu. It's also great to have like one shorter, one longer. So I just wanted those. I also have, over the years, collected all 3 of the shorty sets. I have thoughts on this one. I've not talked about it. These are the largest ones. They are size 9 to 11. I did not realize that the cords on this one were the kind that spin. So like once you attach it, the cord itself is independent. It's like sat within the connector. I did not like it. The yarn caught on it constantly. Not like tearing, but like when you're just trying to move quickly, it just would get caught and you'd have to stop, feed it through, get over it. So that tells me I probably won't like that kind of cord in general. But these are great for small circumference, but I have all three of these. But what is annoying is that I have to, one, remember where they break. So like this end starts at 9, so this one ends at 8. This one ends at 4, I think. And so I was like, you know what I really would like is one place to put all of these. And so when Thread and Maple announced their post-Thanksgiving sale, I was like, do you have one of those binder pages? I don't want the full binder. Maybe one day I'll get it now that I have 2 sets of Chalgoos. And I bought one. So I did buy one. This is, you can see, this is the binder page, and I will put it so you can see how it would look. So it would go into the binder like that. You'd clip it in and it would be there. But they had one that holds all of the shorties. So these are the 2-inch, and then these are the 3-inch, and then these are just the 2 largest of the 3-inch. And I was like, I want this. So now all of my needles live in this. I can see all my sizes at the same time. So, you know, these are most of my 4s, a couple of the 5s. The rest of the 5s are on this side. So like now I have them all in one place. And if I just want the shorties, I can take this. If I just want the longer ones, I can take this. It was not cheap. I think I did end up getting it for under 100 because of the stack of the sales, the way I timed it. But like, how nice is that to see them all instead of 3 packs? You have to individually unwrap. You have to find out which one it is. That's where they are. So this was my present to me. I mean, all the yarn was presents to me, but this was the big one, the big splurge. And I'm so glad I bought it. Maybe I'll get that binder one day. I don't like that it's open. What I really like about this one is that it zips. So like if you drop it and a needle pops out, it ain't going anywhere. So this one will just live on this side and I can just zip it up. So that was my last purchase. There was a slim chance that Tim was going to just give me the money and give that to me for Christmas. But he found something else. But this is a long one. If you made it this far, thank you. Most people do not. I think the average is like most of the time 20 to 25 minutes. Sometimes it bumps to like 35 minutes. So if you are here, I appreciate it. Here's all the hearts. Here's, the millennial heart. Yeah, the millennial heart. The little tiny heart. This is the heart here. And then there's one more. Oh, this one. This is the Gen Z heart. There you go. That's for you all. If you made it this far. My one question is, my closing question is, are you gift knitting this year? I am not really. Tim is getting that sweater, but that's for our January trip. And then I'll be making those 2 dog sweaters. And then there are a couple of those Mountain Mist hats up there that I will be giving. But like those could have gone at any time, but I wanted to save them for that video roundup end of the year. So I won't mail those until the Wednesday. Actually, I think that last Wednesday is Christmas, but they won't get there till well after Christmas to the people they're going to. But yeah, are you gift knitting this year? I talked about gift knitting a few years ago. Not a few years ago. Last year on one of my 12 Days of Knitmas videos. I like gift knitting, just not for a deadline. Because I think making and giving to people is just a way to saying, hey, I see you, I love you, I care about you, I made this for you. Yeah, I will see all of you in a week, hopefully. Yeah, you all will see me in a week and a half from when I'm recording this, but a week from when this posts. Hopefully I will maybe get that done in the week when Tim's out of town, and get it organized, and you all get to see that crazy process. And then I'll see you 2 more times in December. So hopefully you enjoy them. If not, or if you want more, go back and watch last year's Knitmas, Vlogmas. I'm overwhelmed already with the number that are in my feed, and I have started hiding some. I'll check in with some people once a week, but I'm like, I cannot watch 20 people's everyday Vlogmas video, so I will not do that to you. But I'm also gonna be like, here's 3 extras. So anyway, If you stuck around this long, thank you so much. I will see you soon. Casting off for now.